Good day everyone. Today I am going to answer the given questions. So we have here the all about migration. So basically what do you mean by migration? So migration, it is the movement of people to different country, from one country to another, from one location to another. So basically, what are the causes and effects of migration? So we have here why people migrate to a certain location or places. According to the theories, there is what we call the push and pull theory. And according to the World Economic Forum Future of Urban Development Services Initiative, the causes of migration we have, when it comes to push factors, this refers to this something that could push the people why they migrate, like for instance war, we have also climate change or other environmental problems. So according to this source, push factors like for instance economic, maybe unemployment, poverty, or unsustainable livelihood. We also have socio-political factors such as political instability, safety and security conflicts or threats, or even labor, bonded labor, as well as ecological factors. We have climate change and crop failure, food scarcity. When we say pull factors, this refers to something that pull people why they migrate, such as an economic factors, such as opportunities for greener pasture as well as wealth prospects, industrial innovation, and specialized education. When it comes to socio-political factors, we have family reunification, freedom, food security, as well as services, affordable and accessible services. And ecological factors, we have abundance of natural resources as well as favorable climate. So impact on area of destination. We have in terms to positive and negative, we have in terms of economic positive, we have cheap and surplus labor as well as gaps in skills. And social, it's like we have multi-ethnic society and new services from country of origin. And political, we have also pushed for inclusive policy making and integrated development. And when we say we have negative in terms of economic factors, we have increase in remittances leading to economic growth of a certain country. As well as social factors, we have urban services and stricter immigration norms. So those are some of the pull and push factors in migration. Now, we will answer the three basic questions given to us by Dr. Arnold Ramos. We have first, why is it important to estimate psychological status of migrant groups in the host country? Number two, how can we view migrations as benefits from trade internationally, nationally, locally, and give example? And lastly, number three, how migration and immigration changes or influences human culture. Explain and give example in a Philippine context. So let's start for the question number one. We have, why is it important to estimate psychological status of migrant groups in a host country? So to answer that question, we need to have a basis or other study regarding to that specific question. So according to the study, journal entitled Migration and Mental Health and Interface by Virupaksha, Kumar and Nirmala in the year 2014, migration is a social phenomenon which influences human life and the environment around. Hence, migration has a great impact on any geographical area. So meaning to say, if you are migrating to other country, other places, there is an influence or impact in your life as well as in your mental being accordingly to this study. And of course, the result of this study said that it influences mental equilibrium. So meaning to say, there is still an impact. There is what we call balance. When it comes to mental capacity, there will be disequilibrium happens, especially if you are going to migrate to a new places. And according to this study still, many times lack of preparedness, difficulties in adjusting to the new environment, the complexity of the local system, languages, and culture disparities and adverse experiences would cause, take note, distress to the migrants. Okay? Subsequently, it has negative impact on the well-being or mental well-being of such population. So basically, there will be influence or impact on the mental capacity or psychological state of a migrants. Okay? So also, there are different studies that supported the other studies by Virupaksha. Like for instance, here we have in Wong 2013, still the result of their study said that migration has a mental unhealthy impact to the migrants as well as this Fedoraj 2012 and other studies related to mental well-being of the migrants. Now, we have also, to answer the question, according to the Global Education Monitoring Report Youth Report, in the year 2019 entitled Migration, Displacement and Education, in order to have that kind of research, basically there is respond to the mental health issues of migrants. So we need to have that one because in order to address the mental well-being of the migrants. So that's basically the main answer for this question. And it was supported for this research accordingly, draw some approaches, suggestive, preventive, promotive, and curative strategies to the well-being of the migrants. And also, according to the report, formulate more effective intervention strategies in preventing the distress, promoting the psychosocial well-being and health issues of the migrants, and as well as include the recommendations for governments to help them address the needs of migrant and displaced populations. Okay? And also, it is very important to note that we Filipinos are very flexible, adaptive to the new environment. And one of the preventive strategies that are being implemented by the Filipino domestic workers, for example, we have reduced migration-related stress such as praying and reading the Bible. Okay? Number 2 question, how can we view migrations as benefits from trade internationally, nationally, and locally? Okay? You give example. Okay, so according to the study of Boutain and Dumont 2013 entitled Immigration and Economic Growth in the OECD countries. So at panel data analysis, they said that migration and trade aspects could contribute to the economic growth of a country. So remittances and GDP will eventually grow. And then expand the labor market, introduce new skills as well as transfer of skills. So that's basically their contribution of migration. And when it comes to international trade contribution, according to the study of Castro Palaganas et al. 2017, we have migration is seen as an opportunity for professional growth and enhancement. Yeah. And also we have international level trade contribution, migration contribution to trade aspect. We have in Tajikistan, remittances from its cheap and skilled labor force working abroad in countries like Russia, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan have helped the country rebound from the failures of a planned economy and government instability. Remittances have accounted for around 50% of Tajikistan's GDP. With the help of migration, those workers there working in certain country will contribute to economic development of the country. So specifically like remittances, they will have a contribution to the economy as well as GDP of their home countries. And another one, when it comes to national level, the migration has contribution to the Philippines. According to the study of Peter Hochwald 2006 entitled Migration and Remittances, a case study of the Philippines, the result of the study was remittances to developing countries are today seen as an important channel for economic growth. And during the 20th century, a large permanent migration from the Philippines to mostly highly developed countries and large temporary migration to most nearby Asia and Middle East has been recorded. Take note, the main household and income receivers of remittances and the money is usually spent on basic expenditures for the household. So basically, they contribute to the economic growth of the Philippines as well as to their respective families. And also, to support the study, we have also, by ASIS, 2017, the Philippines Beyond Labor Migration Toward Development and Possibly Return. According to the study, the result, in the Philippines, a deeply rooted and pervasive culture of migration has been moving abroad, common, acceptable, even desirable as an option or strategy for a better life there. And then also, it was supported by Xiao Zhang, 2015, the title of the study, The Socio-Cultural Effects of Returning Overseas Filipino Workers in the Philippines. Labor migration is a natural thrust for economic growth. and OFWs are drivers that affect the sustainability of the Philippines through remittances. So basically, they are the new heroes of this trend, the new heroes of the Philippines, the OFWs, because they contribute to the remittances and also the economic growth and GDP of the Philippines. And what is the impact of migration in the local level? So basically, we have in the Davao region. So according to the World Economic Forum 2017, migration and its impact on cities, in the Davao region specifically, the GDP, gross domestic growth rate, the migration contributed to 9.4% growth rate when it comes to GDP level. And economies of states have become interconnected, interdependent, reflecting a borderless world where interstate and interregional trade are important factors to economic development. Still, economic development. And according to Epstein, Gill and Gang era 2010 study, overseas employment is a strategy for rural households to diversify income. So the migration not just helping the economy of the Philippines as well as to their respective families' income. And last question, we have how migration and immigration changes or influences human culture. Explain and give example in a Philippine context. Okay, so according to the study of McCarthy J 2018 entitled 5 Ways Immigration Actually Enhances a Country's Culture. First, migration expand culture by introducing new ideas and customs. So basically, by having migration, if you are going to visit other places or you will live there, you will encounter new ideas and customs. And basically, they will be enculturation process that will fit in, that will fall in. And then also, there will be new ideas, new habits, new ways of living, and new lifestyles will be encountered. And we have also, according to this study, it has the potential of the transfer of skills. And then migration makes the world more connected. It's like a global village. Even though it's like the barriers is no longer a hindrance in this modern times, in globalization. And then migration allows to build a new life as a way to promote the general betterment of humanity. And then lastly, last two, migrants are as partners in nation building because basically they can contribute to the remittances, economic growth, and GDP of our country. And remittances are one of the substance of the projected heroism of overseas Filipino workers to the Philippines. In the Philippine context, so according to Utig et al. 2018, the book entitled A Holistic Approach in Understanding the Self, Malabon City Mutya Publishing House Incorporated, the migration in the Philippine context has affected the lives of the Filipinos in the Philippines. So first example, Spanish colonization's religion and way of living. So basically the legacy of the Spaniards' occupation here in the Philippines is religion. Tracing history until now, we have still the religion which is Christianity. And then there is also Eastern and Western way of life, philosophies and values. So from Western, we could have independency. We have also value the freedom, democracy. That's the basic, because of the migration, that's the basic contribution of migration of the Western countries, like for instance Americans, Europeans. And then Eastern, we have the other Singaporeans, Cambodians. Their way of living, philosophies relate to the nature as well as being religious. That's one example of Eastern philosophies. And then intermarriages among migrants and various nationalities. So basically with intermarriages, new customs, new traditions, new values, new habits will be encountered by the migrants and eventually contributed here in the Philippines. The way they dress, like for instance, the way we talk, the way we dress, we have being conservative to this showy, that's form of Western culture. The way we eat, using spoon, fork, that's another contribution of migration. So if we try to trace history. Then we have also acculturation and assimilation. So basically we adopt the customs of the majority. And then if you are going to have migration to other countries, like for instance, you are going to US, so you will have their language as a form of communication because of course you need to consider your people around you, your environment. And lastly, brain drain in the Philippines. So because brain drain, it's the professionals are coming to other countries. So that's all. Thank you.